that growing up Italian in northern New Jersey would be the thing that stories are made of. So I have to ask you, anybody here grow up Italian anywhere? No, okay, so this happens in Oregon. It happens that I'm the only one. In fact, when we first moved here, our next door neighbors came up to me and they said, well, you must be Jewish. I said, why do you think I'm Jewish? They said, well, you're from New York, you have a big nose, they said, and you have dark eyes. And I said, actually, I'm Italian, which is almost the exact same thing as Jewish. And they said, oh, you're Italian. We never met one of those before. I was like, oh my God. Anyway, so I grew up in this Italian-American family. In fact, when I was a little kid, I thought I was Italian before I knew that I was American. We just thought that we were Italian. I think till I was about 9, my father said, you children are American. We said, we're not Italian? He said, no, you are American. But my father's family came from northern Italy, from Genoa. And my mother's family came from southern Italy, Naples. Now, I don't know if you know anything about Italians. I suppose we're kind of just like each other, but the people in the north look down upon the people below them, look down upon the people below them, look down on the people below them, and when you get to Sicily, pah, they spit on them. And that's just how it is. So my father's family and the people in the north are very different than the people in the south. The northern Italians are much more dramatic. So Germanic is not dramatic. That's the southern Italians, dramatic. And they're sweet and they're kind and they're kind of quiet. So my father's family was sweet and kind of quiet. My mother's family from southern Italy are like the Italians you see on TV. They're loud, they were flamboyant, they were rude, they were boisterous, kind of like my big fat Greek wedding, but Italian. In fact, if you think about my big fat Greek wedding, that was exactly what my family was like. And I stand here live to tell the tale. So when you would go to visit the grandmother or the aunts, the great aunts on my mother's side of the family, and my mother would leave us there, they would do things like this. They would put garlic around our necks to keep us healthy. Now these little tips, I want you to write them down because you never know when you might have to use them. A little garlic around the neck keeps you healthy. They would do things like that to us. They would tell us things like this. They would pull us aside, the great aunts, and they would say, I was 10 when they told me this. They said, when it's that time of month, don't touch a plant. You can kill it. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. I didn't even know what that time of month was. And I knew from the tone of their voice, it was something I could not tell my mother. I knew it was a secret kind of a thing. I spent years thinking that I was a plant killer, probably well until my 40s. I thought I was a plant killer. But when I found out what that time of month was, I thought to myself, well, if I can kill a plant with one touch, I wonder what else I can kill. So I had one brother. I tried that a lot, but he's still alive. It didn't work on boys. I guess it only worked on plants. But those are the kind of stories they told us. Now, another thing they would do for us, and you may not have had this done in your family, I don't know. When we were sick, they would pray over our foreheads. And they would say special prayers. They would kind of make the sign of the cross, kind of like Kenny did with the water, which I thought was a brilliant use of that cup. I was really, really, really impressed as one who comes from the religion with the guy with the white, I know I was the special religion. I know all about that. And so they would pray over our foreheads, and they would mumble things in Italian. And if you were really sick, then they would burp the badness out of you into the air. And the more they burped, the sicker you were. Now, I loved it when my great aunts came over, and I said to my mother I wasn't feeling that well, and they immediately said, let me rub her forehead, let me rub her forehead. And they would start rubbing, and I'd lie there. It kind of felt nice, actually, when you think about it. They were just kind of like doing that, making the sign of the cross, whispering. And then they'd start burping and burping, and they'd say, she's too sick to go to school. I'd be, yes, 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 I'm too sick to go to school. I loved it. Now, they never did that when my father was around, because remember, his family, Northern Italian, they didn't do any of that kind of stuff. That was considered very superstitious. But the Southern Italians, we were very superstitious, and we still are. I just love being superstitious. The prayers that they prayed over our forehead, you could only learn on Christmas Eve at midnight in Italian. They were passed down. Now, unfortunately, I did not learn them. They were not passed to me. But I make them up for my kids, and I would just go pray over it, say, mozzarella, ricotta, pepperoni, and pray over their foreheads, and they loved it. I think maybe it's something about the touch. So if anybody feels like they need a little praying over their foreheads after, I'll be happy to give you a little demo. when you would go into their houses, they lived in apartments, actually. They all lived in apartments. Hoboken. Okay, I was born in Hoboken. And some of you are old enough to know who was born in Hoboken. Frank Sinatra. Yeah, Frank Sinatra. Okay, some of you are too young to know. Go look him up. He's on YouTube, I'm sure. So Frank Sinatra. So my grandmother, now here's the thing, though, and you may think this is not true, but it is. My grandmother knew Frankie's mother, okay? So here's the thing. Now think about this. Here's Frankie. Here's Frankie's mother. Here's my grandmother. Here's me, okay? Here's you. If you touch me, 5 steps removed from Frank Sinatra. You know that thing where only 6 steps removed? See, she's thinking, yes, yeah, I can tell on her face she wants to touch me afterwards. So I was thinking of doing a fundraiser, like I could stand by the door, touch my hand, $1 in the pot, touch my hand, $1 in the pot. We could raise funds for storytelling. What do you think? Sarah's the president of the, yeah, I think it'd be really good. So, and in fact, my mother's first cousin, who is now 92, I think, she told me when I went to visit her, she still lives in Hoboken. They all still live back there. We're the only ones who defected, by the way. My husband and I and our 3 kids, we've lived here 16 and a half years, and they still say, when are you coming home? What are you doing out there in Oregon? I was like, we live here. Why aren't you home? Because in Italian families, you do not leave your mother, especially if you're the first daughter, which I am. There was a boy, my brother, who I tried to kill but didn't make it. Then there's me. Then there's 3 more girls, okay? But you do not leave your mother. And I, as the first girl, left my mother, which means, in Italian families, that she must have not been a good mother. See, it's kind of like a curse on the mother if you leave them. Anyway, I forgot where I was going with that whole story about leaving them. The aunt, this 92-year-old first cousin. So she played with Frank Sinatra. She told me, I was back there visiting her last summer. She played with him. This is what she said to me. She pulled me over. She said, is it all right if I better not. I won't say what I was going to say. She said he wasn't very nice even when he was a little boy because he used to take them behind the garage and show them the pictures in National Geographic. I shouldn't say that on TV, actually. But I said, you know what? The boy up the block did that with us, too. We didn't think it was so bad. So I said, what's the big deal? But she said, I didn't like that. I didn't like that. But those people are still around. That part of my family is still around. And they still live in these apartments, okay? You go up the stairs, you open the door, and they're the railroad apartments. They're called train car apartments. They have a long corridor, right? And off the corridor are all the rooms. You may not have experienced this here, but that's what it was like back east in places like Hoboken and Jersey City. So you go first into the living room. I kid you not, red velvet. Sofa, chairs, plastic over everything. I mean, you think this is just in the movies, but it's true. You sit down on the plastic. It's hot in New Jersey. It's sticky in New Jersey. It's humid. And we were little kids. We didn't have air conditioning. We didn't have that much money. Nobody did. You sit on that plastic. Ooh, it sticks to your little fat legs. It was awful, you know. And they're pinching your cheeks all the time, telling you how cute you are. And then you walk down to the kitchen. In the kitchen, always a pot of gravy on the stove. We called it spaghetti gravy. I don't know. Most people here, do you call it sauce? Spaghetti sauce? But we called it gravy. A lot of Southern Italians call it gravy. So we had red gravy for macaroni. We didn't say pasta. That was way too fancy. And brown gravy for meat, like roast beef. And the white gravy you guys have with the biscuits and no, we didn't. I never heard of that until I moved here. We didn't have anything like that. But the gravy was always cooking on the stove. And here's what you got to do. They'd have a nice loaf of Italian bread right there that they would have made, and you got to rip off a hunk and dip it in the gravy and eat it right there from the pot. I have to tell you, if you've never done that, you've got to come over to my house and try it. There is nothing like it. So all we kids be standing by the pot, dipping our bread. And someone said to me, but you were double dipping. I said, what is that? I didn't even know that there was such a thing as double dipping. That's how we ate, you know? And they said, didn't you get germs? I said, you cannot get germs from spaghetti gravy. It's like lipstick and communion wine. You don't get germs from those. Do not get germs from those things. So, and then, of course, you had to eat because they made it for you. Okay, so you had to eat everything they put in front of you, and they always gave you too much, and I'm a really good little eater. I learned those lessons very young. So if I come to your house, I'll eat everything you make me, I promise, and I'll tell you it's good even if I don't like it, because that's what we learned how to do. So we learned to eat everything. Then you walk down the hall, and here was the thing, though. Now you're walking back down that long, narrow hall, and you go into what they called the turlet. You might call it the bathroom. They called it the turlet. And you sit down on the turlet, and on the shower bar, they have their mudans, their underwear, because you didn't hang your underwear up on the line outside because you didn't want people to see your underwear, your mudans. Because they all had those lines, those clotheslines, you know. They pulled, you went on the fire escape and you put, okay, you didn't hang your personal things up there. But here was the thing about the mudans. Here, just think of it, you're sitting there, you're 10, and you look up and, well, I have a pair right here, actually. They're gigantic. I mean, they're gigantic, and they're all hanging over the shower rail. And you're thinking to yourself, how does anybody ever fit into those? And guess what? This is actually my pair, and I fit into them quite well, and they're very comfortable. You know what I mean? Sometimes I put them on, but tonight I won't do that. So they used to have on those mudans, pink, white, or yellow. The white ones, I think, of course, were for the wedding night, don't you think? And that's what they used to wear. And then, of course, they would wear, and some of you may have this at home and you don't want to admit it, but, you know, it's okay. They would wear their house dresses. Here's an example of a house dress. Now, I don't want to put this on because they said patterns will ruin the TV screen or does something to, so I don't want to ruin the screens. We want this shot to be perfect. But they would wear something like this. How many people in this audience have house dresses back at home? Somebody in the back is raising their hand. You wear those in the daytime, right? Because you don't want to mess up your nice clothes. Consequently, I still wear ratty clothes in the daytime. And then, of course, you always wear your fancy shoes, even with your house dress, because you want to be ready in case the priest comes over to visit. You don't want them to think you have no respect. You got to have respect. But with your house dress and your high heels, of course, you always had, they had their stockings. They never pulled them all the way up. They tied them at the knee. In fact, I'll show you, well, maybe not. I won't show you. They tied them right at the knee, okay? And then they would pull them up if somebody came over. And then, of course, that's just how it was. And they always wore, of course, when they went out, they always wore hats. Now, I'm not going to put this on because it gives you a hat head. And, man, I hate hat head. I don't know about you guys. But here would be a kind of a hat they wore. They went to church every single day, though it had nothing to do with their behavior as far as I could make out. But they went every day. And they lit the candles. And when we were lucky, when we got to stay overnight at their house, stay overnight, we would get to go light the candles too. You put a nickel in the box. Did you ever go do that? Go to a Catholic church and do that. You put a nickel in the box. It's all dark. And then you get to take a long stick out and put it in the one candle that's lit. And then you get to light a candle. And if no one's watching, you can light a lot of candles. You're supposed to put a nickel in for every candle, but if no one's watching, you can light a lot of candles. Why did that seem so magic as a kid to me? I don't know. It just seemed like this magical thing. It smelled of incense in there, and they did that every single day. They were still nasty old things. But anyway, and they wore a ton of jewelry, which of course I cannot put this on too either because they told us not too much jewelry. It ruins the camera. It's bad in front of the camera. You know, so here's jewelry. They wore tons of jewelry, but this snake actually was my grandmother's. This is from about 1920. They wore jewelry like this, and they clanked when they walked. You know, and they had, they just were amazing. And then, of course, on Sundays, they would wear their foxes. Now, this is an original 5-fox pelt. They would wear these to church. Now, other children in other religions, their grandmothers would make them little handkerchief dolls and stuff to play with in church. In my family, we made the foxes talk. Hello, hello, hello. Because they were talking in Latin up there. We didn't know what they were doing. So we would sit behind the great aunts and we'd make the foxes talk to each other. Hello. We loved it. You know, we didn't think anything of this. Dead foxes with things in their mouth. We thought it was a wonder. We didn't think anything of it, you know. So that was our life. And then, of course, they always carried their pocketbooks. You can never go anywhere without your pocketbook. And in your pocketbook, you have all your special stuff. So they had glasses. They always wore beautiful glasses, which I loved when I was a kid. They're so glamorous. I'm sorry, guys. I know these are very sparkly and they're red. And you said red does not go well with the camera, but I have to wear them. And then more jewelry. And here we have more jewelry. Oh, look what I have a spare pair of wedding mudans in case anybody needs to borrow. I lend these out. You know, you can mail them back. And then, of course, there was the other thing. I don't know if your family did this, but they always wore red lipstick. And they put it on at all times of the day without a mirror. Now, ladies, have you been practicing this? Okay, you take it out. They would whip it out of their pocketbook, and they would just, like, smear it on and sometimes even get it on their lips. And then they would go, is it on my teeth, dolls? And if it was on their teeth, they would rub it right off. And they would do this all day long. And then they also had something else that other families didn't have. I think their relatives didn't have. They had unusual facial hair. And you would sit around the table and you would see all the great aunts with this facial hair. It was like the M word. We didn't talk about it. It was the don't ask, don't tell policy in our family. You know what I mean? And we wondered, were we going to get that facial hair when we grew up? And now I know the answer to that question, too. You learn so many... You learn so many things when you get old, you know what I mean? It's just amazing. So much wisdom comes to you when you get old. And of course, they never went out without their white gloves because a lady wants to keep her hands nice. Another little tip, okay, chicken fat is really good for the hands. It's cheap and it works. You take the fat off the chicken, you rub it on the hands. This is what they did. They used the fat for their hands and on their faces, which they told me is why they had such beautiful skin. And that's how they were all the time with their pocketbooks, their glasses, their lipstick, their mustache, their hats. And so here comes one of them now. Hi, dolls. I'm Ann Louise's great Aunt Lena. They let me out tonight to tell you a few things about what it was like being Italian in New Jersey. You know what I mean? So I want to tell you this one little, oh, look at the shoes. They're nice, aren't they? I just moved them in here. I want to tell you this one little story because I came out to Oregon to visit Ann Louise. And she took me down the coast, and that's when I found out how different things are here in Oregon than they are in northern New Jersey, the homeland. We went down the coast, and of course, I had to stop to use the toilet. I mean, everybody does, don't they? You can only go so long without stopping to, and we were drinking coffee, and we stopped at that big place that has all the things, the big store. I don't want to say the name because we don't want to be promoting stores on TV. You know, it has all the stuff. You can buy food and clothes and everything. You know what I mean? That one? SM, that one. We stopped there because she told me it would be a nice, clean restroom. So I marched right into the restroom and I went to the handicap store because I like to have a little room. You have to spread out when you got a pot. You know, I had my fur, I had all that stuff, I had to spread out. And I'm just about to settle down and a little voice from one of the other stalls says, "Hi, how are you?" Now, I don't know about yous, but in Jersey, we do not talk to strange people in public toilets. But I thought to myself, okay, this is Oregon. The people here are very friendly. So perhaps this is what they do. And sort of like that fella here that talked to you before who did not want to embarrass his non-denominational Protestant religion. We'll talk about that later, sir. But anyway, I did not want to embarrass my niece, so I thought, I'm going to be nice because we have a reputation in northern Jersey for being kind of not very nice. So I said, "Hello." And the little voice says, "How are you?" Actually, they didn't say, "How are you?" They said, "How are you?" I said, "Fine." And then silence. I'm thinking, good, I'm done with this for the minute. So I'm sitting there happily contemplating what you do when you're in the public restroom, and I hear the other toilet flush, and the little feet, pitter-patter, 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 and they go to the sink, and I hear the water go on. I think, good, the person's little girl's leaving. I take a breath and relax. And then the voice says, "Are you still there?" I think if I'm quiet, it won't know I'm here. So I don't say a word. The voice says again, "Are you still there?" Yes, I'm still here. And 1 second later, under the bathroom, my bathroom door, comes a little boy of about 4. He slides in on his back. He looks up at me and he smiles and he says, "Hi." I'm wearing Diego underwear. And I'm thinking, huh? And he shows me his Diego underwear. I do not know what to say. For once in my life, I am speechless. When you're not usually speechless when you're Italian American. And I'm sitting there and he's looking. I can see he's looking at my, dare I say, my Modans, plain yellow, sort of around my ankles. Probably thinking to himself, why is she wearing that plain underwear? I didn't know what to say. We're just looking at each other, and I'm thinking, where do you go from here in the conversation? But fortunately, the big door opened outside, and I hear a lady say, Timmy, it's time to go home. I'm thinking, it's about dang time. Anyway, Timmy said to me, bye, and he slides out and goes out the door. I think this Oregon is a very friendly place. We in northern New Jersey are going to have to take lessons from the people in Oregon. And then I'm thinking to myself, this kid is so happy because of his underwear. I marched right down to the lingerie department thinking if I could find some underwear that would make me really happy too. You know, we went from the Mudans in my day, and now they have these ones little kids wear with little figures on them. And I thought, what else do they have for ladies? So I go into the ladies department, and they have these little things. They're just about this big. And I thought, what are they? If I turn them this way, maybe it would be like a little hammock for a hummingbird. I don't really know what you do with those things. I never saw anything like, it didn't say that on the thing, hammocks for hummingbirds, but I thought, well, I don't know. Maybe, so I did not find anything that really suited me, and that's just, anyway, I just wanted to tell you that little story about how nice people are in Oregon. And so I was walking out of the store, and there comes toward me the kid, Timmy, with his mother, and she's pushing a cart, and she's got her little baby in it. And I'm thinking, oh, this is nice. We'll get to say hello again. You know, that kid walked right past me. I figure he didn't recognize me upright. It was truly a life-changing moment for me. I brought this story back to my friends in Northern Jersey, my Italian friends, and they can hardly believe that this happens. But that just shows you how things change. In the old days, you don't talk to people. Now, in these days, you talk to everybody. It doesn't matter where. In fact, last night I was at a songwriter thing, and this girl from Chicago says, can you believe I'm a songwriter? Yeah, I write Italian songs, and I'm very famous. I'm sure people love my songs. But anyway, this girl from New Jersey, from Chicago, she says, I love Oregon. I said, why do you love Oregon? She said, the people here are so nice. I'm just telling you that because you are all Oregonians, you know what I mean? Anyway, so we just have a little bit more time. I'm going to just share with you a couple more things that I think that we need to know about being Italian in New Jersey. So one thing is, okay, since we're such nice people and we like to be friendly with each other, I want to teach you the special way my family says hello, okay? Because traditions are what bind people together. And I notice here, people kind of just say, you know, like, high five, whatever they do, high five, slap, what do? They slap like that. They slap when they say hello, you know? They don't do really anything special. And the special hello is what brings you all together. So I just want to show you the special hello. And then you're going to try it too, okay? Because better that you try it yourself. You got to do it with your body so you can remember it. So when we see each other, we put our hands out just like this and we go, ooh, ooh, ooh. And then we kiss, mwah, mwah, mwah. It's such a nice greeting. It makes you feel welcome, makes you feel happy. Now, if I could get out of the spot, they told me 4 steps front, 4 steps to the side, 4 steps. If I could get out of this spot, I'd come right over there and do it with one of you and give you a nice big smooch. But I can't, so you got to stand up for yourselves. Come on, stand up. We're going to do it. We're all going to look at each other and we're going to go, ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to then go, mwah, mwah, mwah. So pick somebody next to you, and if you don't want to stand up, or you're sitting down happily, somebody could do it to you while you're sitting down. It doesn't matter. Ready? Are you ready? Here we go. And if it's somebody you've wanted to kiss for a long time, this is a good chance to go for it. You know what I mean? So here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Now ready? Mwah, mwah, mwah. Now aren't you feeling nice? You better. Oh, aren't you feeling so good? Yes. Nice, nice, nice. Yeah. You're feeling so good now. You're feeling so good. So I want you to take that home to your family. Teach everybody you know that hello, because it's nice to have a special hello. And then just imagine if we meet each other in the street somewhere. We can do that for each other. I'll be in my house dress and when I'm in the street because I don't have to worry about the colors in the camera. I'll be in my house dress. We can do that with each other. We're going to feel so connected, okay? One more little thing I want to tell you about how things don't change. Okay, some things change, some things don't change. Mothers, Italian mothers. They love to cook for their kids. We already talked about that, right? On Sundays, we used to have the big dinner all the time. We made the dinner for the kids. Everybody came when they grew up. They brought their kids. The relatives came. The neighbors came. Everybody wanted to come. We would make every Sunday, we'd make some kind of macaroni. We'd make brajol, that nice kind of meat that's all rolled up and stuffed. We'd make sausage. We'd make meatballs. We'd have a big feast. Even if we were at the beach, we would go to Coney Island sometimes on a Sunday, but you got to have your macaroni. So we'd bring big pots. We'd make a big fire, set the pots on the fire. We'd have a pot of gravy. We'd have a macaroni right on the beach. You know, there's not too many people that are amazing. Isn't that amazing? But you got to cook for your kids. Now, here's what still goes on. Kids think that they grow up, they leave their parents, they don't need us anymore. But, of course, they do. So in Italy, the part of Italy that I come from, the mothers whose children have moved like to Rome, far away, to work, but they're not married, the mothers still make the food on Saturday. We hire truck drivers to pick up the food on Saturday, whatever we made, drive it overnight to Rome, and deliver it to our children so they can have Sunday lunch made from Mama, even if they couldn't come home. And that's what we do. We pay the truck drivers a lot of money. And then we get information from the truck drivers. We get them to find out what's going on with our kids. You know, we send little messages. We get them to find out what's going on with our kids. And this goes on every Sunday from Naples to Rome. So if you want to earn some money and you need a job, just hop right over there to Italy, be a truck driver, take the food from the mamas to the kids. Or we could start that in Portland. What do you think? Somebody could start the business of driving the food from the mama to the kids. Or I could make food and drive it. It could be sent to you guys. Wouldn't that be so fun? For Easter, I made this special food, bizzagana. It's a pie. I made 3 of them yesterday. And here's how you make it. You chop up mozzarella, and you have ricotta. You have hard-boiled eggs, and salami, and pepperoni, and capicola, and prosciutto, and ham, and salamis, and you chop it all up. You're hungry, aren't you? I'm starving, I have to tell you. You chop it up and raw eggs, and you mix it all up in a big pot. And then you make this dough. It's just oil, flour, salt, and 1 egg. You roll it out really thinly. You stuff the pie on the bottom crust. You put a top crust on. You bake it. You have it Easter morning after you break your fast, if indeed you had a fast. And it is the most wonderful thing in the whole world. It's like love. It's like love. And you probably have all those traditions you make for your families too. And if you don't, you better talk to me after. I'll give you some traditions you can make for your family because it's like love. And that's what I wanted to tell you. And this here fellow who was talking about that family, it's love that's going to change that. And this lady here, she's talking about her friend. It's love. And that one in the back, I forgot what she talked about already. That was such a long time ago. She talked about the woodpeckers. No, they were not woodpeckers. They were peacocks. She talked about getting rid of the peacocks. That was about love, too, and now she has love. It's all about love. So before I go, I want to sing you a song about love, and I want you to sing, too. Okay, now, for this, we have the accordion. You remember now, praying over the forehead. A little garlic is good for your health. Don't forget these things, they're important. How to say hello to your family. Underwear. Hummingbird hammocks. Maybe I should start a new business. Hummingbird hammocks. Okay, now we're going to find those. Now, this song we're going to sing right now, it's called That's Amore, okay? And you probably know it, right? You can sing it with me. And if you don't know it, hum it. And if you don't want to hum it, say la la. Because you know what? Singing is good for your brain. Raises your endorphin levels. And I want you to go out of here feeling like a hot tomato. You know what I mean? Here we go. When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore. You got it. When the world seems to shine like you've had too much wine, that's amore. Bells will ring, ting-a-ling-a-ling, ting-a-ling-a-ling, and you'll say Vita Bella. Ooh! Hearts will play tippy-tippy-tay, like a gay tarantella. Lucky fella. When the stars make you drool just like pasta vazoo, that's amore. When you walk down the street, when you walk down the street with your feet on a cloud, you're in love. Here we're going to go for the big finish. When you walk in a dream and you know you're not dreaming, signore. Scusami, but you see, back in old Napoli, that's amore. Sing that line again. Scusami, but you see, back in old Napoli, that's amore. Mwah, ciao bella, ciao bella, ciao bella, ciao bella. Mwah. Nice to be with you. Grazie, grazie, grazie. If you want to touch my hand, I'll be by the door. If you want the mark of Lena, it's free. I'll be by the door as well.